field. That one's stalled to the right. Hunter on the move, racing back. It's over his head. It's gone. It's into the bullpen. This game is tied. This game is tied. David Ortiz. David Ortiz. David Ortiz.
This is Red Sox Beat on CLNS Radio.
I think it would be a big statement if John Farrell started Travis Shaw on opening day, and I'd be totally cool with it, because I think it would. If that doesn't give Sandoval motivation to play better defense and play better, period, nothing will.
I think they're going to make Jeter that first unanimous vote, and I hate that about baseball writers. If you belong in the Hall of Fame, you get voted in the Hall of Fame.
Achievement or a new milestone. They don't just be like, "Yay, we signed this player, so we're going to have a ceremony." Like, no.
Now to your hosts.
Hi, Red Sox fans. Red Sox Beat, CLNS Media. Of course, the CLNS Media, the leading online provider, of audio and video coverage of your Boston Red Sox. Of course, all teams around Boston as well. Don't forget on Twitter at CLNS Media. Facebook is CLNS Media as well. We're on Twitter at Red Sox_Beat. Facebook, Red Sox Beat Podcast. A lot to get to this week. No Lauren, if you're watching the video, you can see it's just me and Jess, the old gang, back together, just the two of us. We haven't done a show, the two of us, in a while. This is weird. But, Jess, how are you this week, my friend?
Good. Didn't think I'd be doing the show because I couldn't do it tomorrow, so we're doing it today.
Yeah, we all couldn't do it on Monday, Labor Day. Stuff going on, we were going to do it today. So Lauren and I were going to do it today, and then last minute, Jess was around, Lauren wasn't, so Jess got to be on the show.
Here it is.
There it is.
The good old days.
So this week, the Red Sox had ups and downs. Obviously really good against a crappy Toronto team, and wrapping up the Yankee series today on Sunday Night Baseball. I had to turn it off because it got so ugly here on Sunday night. So tough situation all around. But Jess, before we get into the recap, just your overall thoughts of, it wasn't a bad week, but it's really tough to swallow when you lose 3 out of 4 to the Yankees.
Yeah, I mean, you obviously want to take care of business against a bad team in Toronto, and as you watch them play, God, are they bad? They are a really, really, really poor team, and you never really know it until you see it firsthand. All the errors and bad baseball, and the Red Sox are really good against them this year, which is good because they're playing them a lot more. So that was obviously encouraging, especially on the road. But then you go home and you're about to lose 3 out of 4 to the Yankees as we record here, barring an 8-run comeback. So, yeah, it's frustrating. You want to stay ahead of the Yankees. You want to take a split like me and Lauren predicted, and you'd stay 4.5 up. And as a result, it's going to be a little bit closer, and it'll make it a little more interesting. So, but I mean, it's happened all year. The Sox have had trouble with the Yankees all year long. Yep,
and this is the last time they're going to face them in the regular season. So obviously, if they do get to the playoffs and they play them there, then great, we'll deal with it. But this is the last time they'll see them throughout September and into the end of the regular season. So important games throughout the rest of the year, obviously for the Red Sox, but they don't have to worry about the Yankees. They can still control their own destiny if they just win and they keep playing their baseball games. They'll be okay. I think they win the division still. We're going to talk a lot tonight about certain aspects of the team. Chris Sale, Doug Fister, a lot going on, but I do personally want to say now I still think they win the division. But
do you see that stat that this is the earliest that the Sox are done with the Yankees in the regular season in like 22 years?
I'm not surprised by it. I mean, it's just turned over in September, and we're talking about them being done with the Yankees. Like usually they either finish the year with the Yankees or it's like the next to last series. But this year they finished with Houston, which could be important for certain things if they win out, if they do well. But now Cleveland's chasing Houston for the top spot too because Cleveland's been on a tear.
Are they ever? My God.
So it's ridiculous. And look, they're obviously a really good team. We thought they were going to be up there beginning of the year, so no surprise that they're finally figuring it out come September. But I'm surprised. It's weird that the Yankees aren't going to be here throughout the rest of the year, but that's okay because clearly we have an issue. So
I'm fine with that.
Yeah, seriously, I'm really okay with it. Just take us through the week now. Let's do this because obviously Toronto, 3 games against them. Man, it was ugly, and obviously against the Yankees. So, what happened? Let's start with the Toronto series and break it down.
Yeah, so starting on Monday, obviously this game happened as of last show, but we didn't really talk about it much because we were focusing on the week before. Game 1 was a Red Sox 6-5 win over the Blue Jays. This one was the Christian Vazquez show. He was 4 for 4 with 2 RBI. It was a lot of people's show. The Sox had 5 guys with 2 or more hits, including Vazquez with his 4. This game was Drew Pomeranz against Marcus Stroman, so a good matchup. 2 of the better pitchers in the league, and they lived up to it. Pomeranz gave up 3 runs in 6 innings. Stroman gave up 2 runs, 1 earned in 6 innings. So they definitely lived up to the billing. The Blue Jays actually got up in the first. Kendrys Morales hit a 2 RBI double, make it 2-0. But then the Sox climbed back against Stroman. They scored an error, and then Eduardo Nunez hit another home run in the third inning to tie it at 2. And then the Jays got back up 3-2 in the fourth. But then Vasquez took over. He hit a go-ahead 2-run homer to make it 4-3 in the seventh. And then Moreland got an RBI single to make it 5-3. And then Bogarts walked with the bases loaded to make it 6-3. Pretty comfortable lead there until Craig Kimbrell, who is normally lights out, he came in and actually gave up 2 walks and a 2-run homer to Justin Smoke, who, as I always like to say, smoking the ball this year.
You punny
My
man.
God. Yeah. 36 homers this year for Smoke. So he made it 6-5. Fortunately, Kimbrell didn't go up any more and squeaked out the 6-5 win. But obviously the Sox were in control from the seventh inning on when they got those runs. 12 hits in the game. Like I said, a lot of hits for a lot of people. And I mean, I guess the story is Pomerantz. Obviously, he got a loss later in the week, but he had 5 walks and 7 hits in this game. But has been the case with Pomerantz all year long. He's always gotten out of damage, which is obviously going to be key for the playoffs, because if you can get out of damage in the playoffs, you're going to be in good shape.
Yeah, another key component, too, to this game was Vasquez. He's been hitting the crap out of the ball lately, and I just love when he hits a home run. He's like 5 this year, or whatever it may be now, and he just pimps them every time he hits. But he acts like he hits like 30 balls. He hits like he hits them like he hits them all the time. Like when he hits them, he cranks them and then just leaves his bat out there and just flaunts it. And I love it. I don't even care if he only hit 4 in the year. It's great. But no, Pomerantz, look, there's no doubt in my mind now coming into September playoff push here into the playoffs. He's your number 2 unless someone else takes it from him. As much as Sale's been struggling as of late, and I want to talk a little bit more about that as for the recap as well. But obviously, Chris Taylor is your ace. There's no question about that. But after that, Jess, I mean, who would you rather give the ball to? At this point, it has to be Pomerantz.
Yeah, I mean, obviously it was last year, you'd say Porcello because he won Cy Young, but you got to trust Pomerantz more than Porcello currently. I mean, Porcello could turn it around in the last month and have a great end of the season, and you could trust him, and that may very well happen. But, I mean, at the moment, Erod has too many bad innings. I mean, Pfister, obviously, has been pitching great, and we'll talk about that, and you may trust him, but you'd probably still trust Pomerantz over him because of how many wins he has and how good his ERA is. So, yeah, good to see. I mean, getting out of danger is the way to do it. So Pomerantz and Sale have gone about their wins in very different ways. Sale, all business, quick innings, no messing around. Pomerantz, a lot more jams, but he gets out of them. So however you get the wins, right, however you lower that ERA, fine with me. So that brings us into Tuesday's game, and this was the actual game that Sale has pitched well in over the last several starts because he hasn't been pitching very well in the last 4 or 5 starts. He did in this one. You give him a bad Blue Jays team, and oh my God, did he eat them alive. He pitched 7 innings, 3 hits, no runs, no walks, 11 strikeouts.
It's the recipe he needed to be successful. He's been struggling lately to coming into this game. So
this allowed him to just forget about his 7 runs against the Indians, his 3 innings of work. He just went out there and did his thing, dropped his ERA, got his 15th win, struck out 11 Blue Jays. It was a joy to watch. And on offense, actually nobody scored in this game until the 6th. Brett Anderson pitched for the Blue Jays, and he was actually really good. He's had a long career. He's been injured a lot, but he came up from AAA for this game, and he was very good. Only gave up 1 run in 5 2/3. That run was an Eduardo Nunez double to drive in Rajay Davis. That made it 1-0. Then Hanley Ramirez decided to hit a home run to make it 2-0. And then Benintendi got an RBI single in the 8th to make it 3-0. I guess the key to this one was Hanley was hitting 7th in this game. Farrell dropped him down in the order because he sucks. And he decided to pay him off, hit his 20th home run in this game. And we'll get to more of him later in the week. But this game was, a couple of runs, 3-0. But this game was all about Sale. 7 innings, 11 Ks.
Yeah, it's a Sale game where he's coming off the Indian situation, so he needs something like this to help the motivation. I don't care if it's against Toronto. He could have done this against anyone. It would have made me feel better. So you need to start like this. He looked like he was in control. Obviously, tonight we'll get to it. It didn't look too great tonight, but you come to the situation where you watch this game and you're almost mad. You had no runs in the 6th inning. like you're like, what the heck? This guy is lighting it up against a crap team. Score some runs. Thankfully, they won this game because if they couldn't win for him against Toronto, then there was no hope the rest of the way. But they figured it out. Sale pitched really great, so it was nice to see him at least have some form of consistency throughout this game and move on to the next one.
Yep, and that next one was also against the Jays, the final game of the 3-game set in Toronto. And this one was a good one, a 7-1 victory. Rick Porcello versus J.A. Happ. And actually, both starters pitched well in this game, too. It wasn't until later where the score got bigger. Porcello gave up 6 hits, 1 run, 2 walks, 7 Ks in 6 2/3 innings. Happ gave up 4 hits, 1 run also, 4 walks, 2 Ks in 6 innings. So they both pitched really well. Rafi Lopez had the Blue Jays' only run with a solo home run off Porcello in the 3rd.
Yep.
And then the Sox didn't score again until the 5th. And then Hanley hit another home run, his 2nd in as many days, to tie it at 1. And then Mitch Moreland pinch hit in the 7th inning for Chris Young, hit a 2-run homer go ahead to make it 3-1.
Mitchie 4 bags.
Yeah, seriously. Mitchie pinch hit bags.
Yeah, seriously.
And then after Betts and Bogarts exchanged doubles to drive in runs in the 8th to make it 5-1, Moreland came up in the 8th again, hit a 2 RBI single this time to make it 7-1. Most of those runs were off Tom Meza, who gave up 4 runs on 2 hits and 2 walks and got 0 outs. He was real bad.
Mm-hmm.
A couple of those were inherited runs. But Mitch Moreland was 2 for 2 with 4 RBI, and he didn't play before the 7th inning. Yeah. That's impressive. It's hard to do.
He's been lights off the bench. Every time he comes in to pinch hit, he's been phenomenal, and this is no exception, obviously. Doing that in that amount of time is ridiculous. And it's not easy to do because you typically don't get that kind of opportunity anyway. Like you get like maybe 1 at bat in that situation, maybe 2. To do what he did, that's phenomenal.
Especially the game was tied at 1 when he came in. 6 runs later, 2 at bats later. It's awesome. And they said in the broadcast, and it was all over Twitter, he is the best pinch hitter in baseball since 2014.
That's crazy. And when I heard that, I was like, wait, okay, that makes sense now because he must do something crazy under the in the batting cages or whatever it is. But when he pinch hits, he's still ready to go.
He stays prepared. Clearly, you got to be able to do that. And the other thing from this game, obviously, Rick Porcello. Yeah, I know the Blue Jays aren't a good offense. Great, but when you've had an up and down season like he has, to get any kind of good outing against anybody is a good sign, and giving up 1 run in 6 2/3, always encouraging.
Yeah, and like you said, I don't care who it is, especially where Porcello's been up and down this year, to have him pitch the way he did against his team. The Blue Jays are bad, but they do still have some power in their offense. They do still have some potential to that lineup. They just haven't really played well this year, so it's not as bad on paper as it is like record-wise what they've been this year, so it's still something to kind of smile about seeing Porcello pitch the way he did in this game.
Yeah, they still got Smoke, Batista. They got some home run hitters still. And people are automatically like, oh, whatever. They're a bad team. Not impressed. Well, okay.
The team's bad, but they still got some power.
Yeah, they're still a major league team. They still have some
and guess
hitters.
what? Rick Porcello's the guy in the lineup who always gives up the stupid homer. So
yeah, he's always going to give up a home run.
It's impressive.
That's right. You tell him, Jared.
Yeah, screw all y'all.
Yeah, screw all y'all. So that was a sweep. That was great. We all got it wrong. We all picked 2 out of 3. We didn't even want to give the full sweep, and the Sox said, screw you 3. We're sweeping them.
Yeah,
which is great.
I'm okay with it.
Yeah, I'm okay with it too. So that takes us into the Yankee series. It started on Thursday, and the first one was a 6-2 loss. It was Eduardo Rodriguez against CC Sabathia. Sabathia was good. Erod was not. Sabathia's 4-0 against the Sox this year, which is crazy. He's 37 years old, and he's 4-0 against one team.
Just against the Red Sox. Yeah, just against the Red Sox.
Yeah, he's had a good year, but he's been exceptionally good against Boston. In this game, he gave up 5 walks and still only 1 run, which doesn't say much for the Red Sox. It was Strand City, so many men left on base, 12 in all. Erod gave up 10 hits and 5 runs in 5 innings, which is obviously not good. And it kind of all blew up on him at once. I mean, the game was tied at 1 going into the 5th inning. Gary Sanchez had a home run off of Erod, but other than that, it was 1-1. And then Sanchez hit an RBI single in the 5th to make it 2-1. And then the 6th, Erod just blew it big time. He gave up a double to Chase Headley. Greg Bird hit a 2-run homer to make it 4-1. And then Gregorius got an RBI single as well to make it 5-1. Erod didn't even get an out in the inning. And, 5-1's hard to come back from. The final ended up being 6-2. Dylan Betances came in and decided to hit and walk everybody and somehow get out of it barely without blowing it. The Sox had the bases loaded in the ninth with 2 outs. And Moreland, pinch hitting again. He got out that time, unfortunately.
Right.
Can't do it every time.
Nope.
But so it was a 6-2 loss. 14 hits for the Yankees, only 4 for the Red Sox. So if you want to look at hits, obviously the Yankees deserve to win. They had 8 walks, which is a ton of walks, but couldn't do anything with it. Just couldn't score any runs. And then the bigger thing in this game than the loss, obviously the loss is important too, but was Eduardo Nunez bunted in the first inning off Sabathia, testing his bad knees. And after the game, Sabathia just went nuts and said, well, he didn't go nuts, but he got all mopey and pouty, and he was like, yeah, it's weak. It shows what kind of organization they are, Bunting. All right, CC, it's baseball. No one's going to be like, sorry, sir, we're not going to bunt on you because you have bad knees. That's when you do it.
Yeah, that's when you're supposed to do it. Whatever weakness you have. Like, the point of putting strategies together, game plans together is, oh, this person has a weakness at this point. Let's exploit that weakness. If you're good at fielding my ball, I'm not going to, just hit the crap out of it and hope you don't field it. If you can't get to the ball, I'm going to bunt it. Like, CC Sabathia, you pitched well. You won. Calm down. And it started it became bunt gate for 2 days. And it was just something where you look at CC and stop whining and complaining. And I love Jerry. Was Jerry Rice?
Jim Rice.
Oh, I thought he said something too, but Jim Rice did say something. He was on, and he said something about it.
He was pissed.
And he was
really pissed.
He was like, "What are you talking about? Just get over yourself." I'm like,
lose some weight, eat some
burgers, and do that. I'm like, this is great. This is phenomenal. This is the one thing that's going to turn this stupid rivalry around. It's going to be over a bunt on CC Sabathia. But look, CC Sabathia, get over yourself. Figure it out. Yeah, you're pitching well against the Red Sox. If you have bad knees, I'd bunt on you too. It
was great. And he made an error on the play, and Nunez was safe. So It worked.
It worked, yeah.
He did exactly what he was trying to do.
He was trying to overcompensate. He's like, well, yeah, I mean, I know I missed it, but you shouldn't do it anyway. It's like, why shouldn't he do it? Screw you.
You shouldn't bunt in the first inning because that's weak.
How are you still playing?
Right? You're old with bad knees. Yeah, here I want to give you Jim Rice's quote because it was really funny. On the postgame show, he said, "Quote: Bunting is part of the game. You try to get on base any way you can. If you tell Sabathia to lose some of that chicken and that donut and that burger weight, then maybe he's like,
that's what it was. Yeah,
that he can field the baseball. That's just stupid. Lose some of that chicken and that donut and that burger weight. Yes,
I love it. It's great. But the thing is, CC's always been big in his career, and that's where the knees have come from, right? It's just falling apart. His body's crippling on him. Like anyone and their mother would take advantage of that. Like why, in the World Series, why in the ALCS, why wouldn't you bunt on Kurt Schilling more with the bloody sock? Like it's just it's strategy. And if anyone did it back then, you shouldn't have blamed him if they did it on Kurt Schilling. Same thing now. You don't blame the Red Sox for doing it because it's the right thing to do when the guy can't move.
Right. If you're not healthy, you shouldn't be pitching.
Exactly.
If you're pitching, you got to pitch and you got to do what happens. Yeah, that's the game. So, and then to finish the story up, after Sabathia saw Jim Rice's comments, he called Rice bitter for his comments, which me and a lot of other people found really funny because he's calling someone bitter about that. What was he? He sure sounded bitter after the game, talking about what Nunez did.
Yeah,
he's calling Jim Rice bitter.
Why would Jim Rice be bitter? Like, why does he care about? Why would he care about you, CC Sabathia? Like, he's in the Hall of Fame. He had a historic career. He's calling for the first place Red Sox right now. Like, you're however old you are, man. The bum knees. You're overweight still. I don't know how you haven't lost weight, and you're the one who thinks that he's bitter over what you've done. Like, come on, grow up.
When your comments were bitter themselves.
Seriously,
doesn't make any sense.
Exactly. Completely ironic.
Yeah, super. It's ridiculous. So that was exciting. I mean, the loss sucked, but that was
great.
Was
the most jacked up I got after a loss, like in a long time. I was like, this is great. Like, I want to punch a wall right now. Like, this is amazing. Like, I was all fired up and we lost. And I'm like, oh, well, okay. Guess we should move on to tomorrow.
Right. Well, it was a lot of exciting stuff. Bases loaded in the ninth inning, and then Sabathia makes those comments. It was kind of like one after another,
Seriously.
Great.
Yeah, it was.
So that was the first loss of the week, unfortunately, which brought us into Friday's game, which was not a loss, which was good. Get back on the winning track and win 4 out of 5. This one was a 4-1 win Doug Fister versus Sonny Gray, which was a pretty good matchup. Doug Fister got the upper hand. He actually gave up a run in the first inning, an Aaron Judge RBI double. As has been the case with Fister, he's pitched really well, but he's had tough first innings. So if he can overcome that, it's worked out pretty well, which he has. Yep. And then the Sox came back, and they ended up hitting 3 home runs off of Gray, which is great because he really hadn't given up many home runs this year, and he did. Eduardo Nunez hit one in the third inning, a 2-run homer, which was obviously fantastic because after the whole bunt gate, to hit a home run right afterwards in his second at bat was pretty great. And Benintendi hit a home run, and then Hanley Ramirez hit a 3rd home run of the week and for the game. And it was a 4-1 win there. Doug Fister went 7 innings, 4 hits, 1 run, 5 strikeouts. He was dominant after that first inning. Gray gave up the 4 runs in the 7 innings. So that was really the difference in the game. I mean, they both went the same amount of time, but Fister gave up 1 and Gray gave up 3. And I mean, it's always great for the Sox to hit home runs in games like this because they obviously haven't hit a lot this year.
Nope.
And to win a game solely on home runs is obviously a good sign.
Oh, yeah, and look, you got to talk about Hanley. It's just this is the time of year where he started to figure it out last year, maybe a little earlier last year, but pretty close to it. And you hope that this week was like a spring pad for Hanley because he's been hitting 7th. Like he's been struggling. And I don't know about you, Jess, but I think I can take this week and for more than what it is and see maybe this is a spring pad for him. He seems like he's seeing the ball better. He's hitting the ball opposite field to hit home runs too. Like he's hitting the ball everywhere, and I think this could be a good spring pad for Hanley come September.
Yeah, I mean 3 home runs in 4 days is obviously what you want. Just the thing with him, why does he have to be so maddening? Why do you need everyone to call you out and say that you suck and that you're terrible because you're hitting 240 with, 49 RBI in a cleanup spot in September? Like, you should be hitting better than that.
We need to get Hanley a shrink. Like
right.
He has some mental issues. Like maybe someone should slap him before the game or like something. Just like get him pissed off before every game. Like have John Farrell come in there and go, Hanley, you suck. Like, you cannot hit the ball. Like, get over yourself or, like, do something. Because clearly when he's mad and he thinks that people are out to get him, he plays better.
Yeah, and you shouldn't need that. You shouldn't need a reminder every 2 weeks that you suck and need to hit better. You should just hit better.
No,
You're
seriously.
a major league player.
Is this what Ortiz did? Like, I'm convinced now this is what Ortiz did.
I know.
Every game, Hanley,
man, you suck.
Man, you're terrible, dude. Like, you suck. Like, you're hitting like 300 right now, dude. Why aren't you hitting 350? You have 20 homers last year. Dude, you got to be at like 30 by now. You suck, dude. Like, you got to think there was some friendly, like, banter between the two. Because that's literally it. Because Ortiz is gone, and now he's playing like crap. And if every time the media talk like crap about him, he's doing better. So maybe this is what Ortiz did behind the scenes last year.
Right. Nobody told us what he did. But right, because his teammates don't seem to be able to do it. It has to be the media. It has to be the fans. Everyone has to start crapping all over him. People get tired of doing that. So, it goes in like 2 or 3 week spans. And then, 2 weeks later, all right, let's crap on Hanley again. Okay, yep. 3 weeks. Okay, let's crap on Hanley.
Oh, he's slowing a little bit. We gotta say, what else can we say about Hanley? Crap. All right, what's his batting average now against lefties?
Terrible average. Yeah, exactly. Hey, Hanley, you haven't hit an RBI in 3 weeks. You're like 0 for your last 15 with 12 strikeouts.
He's like,
I suck, man. Okay, let me go hit some home runs.
He's like, that's not true. That's true? Oh, man. All right, well, you'll see. It's okay.
Go get some RBI, man. Oh, jeez. I mean, they dropped him to 7th, and then he started doing stuff. So
yeah, and the worst part about this was, like, after that game, the 4-1 win on all the homers, I was like, great, you've won 4 out of the first 5 of this week. Like, you're on the right track. You figured it out against the Yankees. You had that one blip. Great. Come back Saturday. Boom.
Yep. 5-1 loss on Saturday. It was Masahiro Tanaka on the hill for the Yankees against Drew Pomerantz. Tanaka's had a pretty up and down season. He's been better of late. Still, his numbers aren't very good. And obviously, Pomerantz has been good. And this game was tied at 1 going into the bottom of the 6th inning. And Matt Holliday hit a 3-run homer to make it 4-1. Gary Sanchez got the other RBI the next inning. So it was really just one pitch, one bad inning for Pomerantz, as opposed to the rest of the season when he got out of jams. This time he couldn't do it. Gave up 8 hits, 4 runs in 5 1/3 innings to get his first loss since June 11th, excuse me.
That's so ridiculous.
Almost 3 months since he lost, so no wonder he's 14-5. So that part's great. Unfortunate timing in this one, and Tanaka was just really good. 7 innings, 5 hits, 1 run. And I guess the funny thing from that was that Matt Holliday was babysat by John Farrell. 25 years ago.
I didn't know that. I didn't even know that.
Yeah. People have been talking about it the last day or so. He was, back when he was at Arizona State. When Farrell was at Arizona State, I guess Holiday's dad was a coach for the team, and Farrell was there, and he babysat Holiday when he was a kid.
That's so weird.
Yeah, and now he came back and hit a 3-run homer off Farrell's team. So they were talking about it on the broadcast tonight on the radio broadcast, and they were like, "That's not a very good way to show your gratitude to your babysitter."
Yeah, right. Yeah, you really didn't like your babysitter, huh?
You're trying to beat him up 25 years later. So that was just kind of a funny little thing. But yeah, the game sucked. 5-1 loss, 6 hits for the Sox. Same thing as always. It's the same case. It's been all 19 games against the Yankees. The Sox cannot score with runners in scoring position. They suck. They've been so good this year with runners in scoring position against every other team. And against the Yankees, they're hitting 140 with runners in scoring position. They're awful. I don't know what it is.
And I don't have it in front of me, but it's got to be a big difference between the Yankees and the next team in that list.
Right.
Again,
they're hitting they're hitting 280 with runners in scoring position against everybody else combined.
Yeah. So it's really bad against the Yankees, and there's been some opportunities tonight's game too. They're losing 9-1 right now. There's been opportunity against the Yankees, and they just cannot capitalize, and I don't get it because any other team they're converting. That's the thing is that they have the opportunities, and they're not doing it all the time, and they've had some struggles throughout the year against other teams too. But this has been precedent, and I mean unprecedented for what the situation normally is. It's usually a 50-50 split at least, and I guess it's only fitting for the fact that they're not going to play the Yankees the rest of the year, and it's so early. Just get it all done with and move on. But it's just ridiculous.
Yeah, to have it be that different against them than against any other team, you expect averages to average out, and it just hasn't, because obviously, like we said, this is the 19th and final game against the Yankees, and they're still hitting 140 with runners in scoring position, which is terrible. And
it's ridiculous.
The offense just goes to sleep. They got 4 hits on Thursday, they got 6 hits yesterday, they have 3 hits today. It's the offense is nowhere to be found.
Oh, it's so stupid. It's so stupid. It's so stupid.
It's frustrating. So yeah, this brings us into today's game, Sunday's game. It's 9-1 currently in the 8th. Obviously, when you listen to the show, it'll be over, and it'll be a loss unless they score 8 runs in the 9th inning. This game turned badly in the 6th inning. It was 3-1 Yankees, and the Sox seemingly got out of the inning on a ground out to Devers, and he threw to first, and he was called out. Then they checked it on replay review. It was insanely close. They called him safe, and then the Yankees got 6 runs afterwards. Gary Sanchez had an RBI single. Starlin Castro had a 3 RBI bases clearing double. And then Aaron Judge hit a 2-run homer to make it 9-1. Of course, Aaron Judge hit a home run now.
Seriously,
7-1,
he's been struggling, all this stuff, and then he gets one when there's no pressure.
Yeah, it's you have a 7-1 lead. Great. It's now I can have my home run.
Coward.
Lame. And then Chris Sale started this game. He only went 4 1/3 innings, which is the second shortest start of the year. 2 out of the last 3 games are shortest starts of the year. 7 hits, 3 runs, 2 walks, 6 strikeouts. The numbers don't seem that bad, but all 3 runs were all 3 solo home runs. Chase Headley, Matt Holliday, Todd Frazier. 3 home runs in 2 innings, which is not good. And Sale threw 109 pitches in those 4 1/3, so it was he just didn't have it. He was giving up the long ball, and he didn't go deep into the game. So you expected to take 2 out of 4 once you had Sale on the mound, but he's not been as sharp this month, minus the Toronto game last week.
Yeah, so. And you look at the Toronto game and you go, yeah, whatever, it's a Toronto game. We talked about it, but it's been bad, and I want to get to that in a second, but at the same time, this game was something where, Sunday Night Baseball, a lot of Red Sox Nation doesn't really enjoy watching Sunday Night Baseball. I know I don't like it. The broadcast is meh. But, you look forward to the game, and you get excited. You're like, okay, great. Sale's on the mound. Team's still playing well. At least salvage the series. You don't leave it any worse than you came into it, and you move forward. And now you're looking at 3.5 games as you're leading the division. Like I said, I don't think you're going to lose the division. But 5.5 would have been a lot better than 3.5 coming into the next week.
Yeah, it's a huge difference. Head-to-head games are huge. And when you're going to that last game today, the difference between 5.5 and 3.5 is huge.
And now you don't get another shot at them. Done.
Right.
That's it.
So it's all up to everybody else. It's up to how they play and how we play against everybody else, which is not as concrete as playing them and picking up those games against them. So, yeah, and you're all excited. It was a close game for 6 innings, and then just one call changes everything, and then boom, 6 runs just like that.
That up was bad.
Sick.
That was
oh yeah,
bad.
Terrible umpiring. So many missed calls.
Yeah.
So that's baseball. Things change in an instant like that, and as a result, it'll be 3.5 games. So 3 out of 4 lost to the Yankees. The Sox are 77 and 60 now, and with the Indians playing like crazy with 11 straight wins, and Houston still winning some games, the Sox need to have a good week this upcoming week, which obviously we'll get to at the end of the show. But good start to the week, tough finish to the week. MVP, I don't really know. There wasn't a whole lot of good offensive performances this week. Probably Mitch Moreland was the best. And if we want to give it to somebody else, well, actually, I guess Hanley's 3 home runs. I guess you got to give it to him. But Doug Fister continuing to pitch well. I kind of like him as well. So we'll kind of mention all 3 of them. But, I mean, hardly an MVP, especially with the Yankee series, just not much offense. So we'll give it to Hanley, though. 3 home runs.
Hey, worth giving it to. I wanted to ask you before we moved on, Jess. Tonight's game, the umpiring, obviously bad. You know, a couple of those strike calls when Addison Reed was on the mound in the 6th, which is a whole other ball game. Actually, I agreed with them putting Addison Reed in the 6th. Not a bad decision by any means because they needed to get out of that situation. But those 2 strike calls that were very, very much strikes that weren't called strikes. You saw Sandy Leon pretty much barking at do you remember? You know the name of the umpire who's back there?
Sam Holbrook.
Sam Holbrook. Yeah, that's Squid. He was barking at Holbrook about the situation. Farrell was yelling at him, and then obviously the next pitch after Sandy Leon said something, even more of a strike, wasn't called a strike. You don't blame Sandy Leon at all for saying something, do you? Because you got to think that Holbrook's the type of umpire, and he has a history of this, who doesn't have a low strike zone, and on top of it is definitely a egotistical type, has an ego basically when he's umpiring.
Well, yeah, I mean, you can't really blame Sandy. Carl Willis got ejected from the game for complaining from the dugout.
Yeah,
they thought Farrell got ejected. I actually never saw for sure. I think it was Willis.
It definitely was Willis because Farrell was there the rest of the game. Yeah,
and he went out and had a calm conversation with Holbrook. Surprisingly, I'm not sure how, but he got tossed, and it was him. Yeah, so he got tossed. He just went nuts on the bench when he called what should have been a strike, a ball. And a lot of people put up the strike zone on Twitter, and it was a strike. It was no question about it. It was an absolute strike.
Yeah.
So yeah, I mean, I don't mind Leon talking to him if he thinks he's that bad. I mean, Willis got ejected. Farrell went out there. It's obviously Leon's not the only one to think that. So I got no problem with that. I know that catchers usually kind of keep that stuff on the down low, but if you're that bad, I guess you deserve to be called out, right?
It was really bad, and I look at that situation, and that's the type of call that changes games, right? If those are called strikes like they're supposed to, Reed gets out of that probably, and now you're looking at a 4-1 game still, and it's still doable. And then after that, you have to, if you're Addison Reed, you have to have composure. You give up a run because the play that got overturned when who hit that single? I don't remember. Sanchez, that's who it was. When he hit that single, who should have struck out, hits the infield single. Devers made a heck of an attempt to make that play. Was safe though, and then close. Spiraled out of control after that. Addison Reed, you got to be a little more headstrong. You got to be a little more composed in that situation. He made a couple bad pitches. Judge hits the homer. Everything kind of fell apart after that. But at the same time, those 2 strikes make a huge difference.
Yeah, I mean, it's tough with pitching because it's like you want to stay composed and everything, but at the same time, how can you not get angry when you're throwing good pitches and they're not paying you off for it? It's like, I can see why they get angry. I know you need to keep your composure, but it's like if you're sitting there throwing strikes and you're not getting the calls, wouldn't you get angry? I'd get angry.
Oh, you'd get angry too. and coming from a guy, and I hate when people say this. I'm going to huge caveat. I did pitch in high school. I hate when people use this as the thing or anytime else they talk about it. But when you get a bad call, it's hard to chew it off. It's hard to just put it aside because you felt slighted when you feel like you made a good pitch, especially as a pitcher. It's a craft. You work on it for a long time, especially at a guy at that magnitude. Addison Reed's a phenomenal pitcher. And when you get slighted like that, especially with a catcher like Sandy, who, is not Vasquez, but can frame the ball, sold it really well. It was in the strike zone. To not get a call like that is just absolutely ridiculous.
Yeah, that's what you work for. You work to get strikes. You work to get outs. And when the umpire decides to screw you over, of course you're going to get angry.
Awful.
Yeah.
It was ridiculous.
I know they're major leaguers, but it's they're humans too.
It's still ridiculous. But that being said, could have been a lot better, even if after that play, Addison Reed threw up some meatballs after that. But that being said, tough week after the Blue Jays series. Yankees go to the Bronx and take 3 out of 4 from the Red Sox pending the end of this game tonight, which will probably be over by the time we finish recording anyway. So there's Jess's recap, of course, brought to you our good friends at FanDuel. Guys, it's this week. Football is finally back next Sunday or this upcoming Sunday. The wait is finally over. Fantasy football for everyday fans. Check out FanDuel. New contests starting every week. No busted seasons. There's some injuries. Maybe you drafted Julian Edelman super early. You had to waste a pick on him. Now you can draft every week. And just starting at $1, you can just pick a contest, choose your team, and watch your score real time. I'm on FanDuel. Jess is on FanDuel. Lauren's on FanDuel. We have listener leagues coming up for week 1. If you go to FanDuel.com/Red Sox Beat, you can play against the 3 of us on FanDuel, which is awesome. And guys, everyone loves fantasy football, no matter who you are. I know I have friends, fiancés who are playing for the first time because they feel like they have to. Like, it's just a huge deal, and FanDuel's a great way to do that. If you draft busts, if you get hurt in the first couple weeks, it's a good way to get in there, win a couple extra bucks, and hey, maybe even play against us too.
Yeah, seriously, get engaged with us. Do some FanDuel. Season starts on Thursday, 4 days away from the Pats. No days off.
Yeah, seriously. Raise that banner, baby. Let's go. Thursday night. And hey, you can even play one-day fantasy just within that game, right? That's the cool thing about it. You can pick players just off that Thursday night game and see who picks the best players. If you know someone on the Chiefs that you like or the Patriots that you like that is going to play a lot that you might not as a sleeper, draft him on FanDuel and win some money at the process. Over 2.5 million players have won a cash prize playing fantasy sports on FanDuel. You can sign up today. Go to FanDuel.com, click the Join Now button, and use our code RedSoxBeat. You can try FanDuel for free with no deposit required. If you visit FanDuel.com, go claim your free contest and play for a share of $10,000 week 1. Just sign up using our code RedSoxBeat. That's FanDuel.com, promo code RedSoxBeat. Of course, void where prohibited. FanDuel's phenomenal. I love it. Like I said, go to the Red Sox Beat specific page as well. It's FanDuel.com/Red Sox Beat. Cool listener league. Get $1 entry, and you can take down me and Jess and Lauren. We'll be in there playing fantasy FanDuel with you guys as well. I had like 4 fantasy football drafts, so I'm a nut as it is. And I love doing that kind of stuff, so FanDuel's a nice touch for it. But so definitely check them out, and it's obviously exciting. Football's back. But I wanted to talk about this, and this is something that has been pressing, and it's been brought up across the city here too, Jess, on both stations and everywhere, is Chris Sale. Because, yeah, he pitched well against Toronto, but he's been throwing up a stinker against the Indians. He just threw up a stinker tonight against the Yankees. And I didn't even realize this, and I had an idea of it, but you go back and look at Chris Sale's performance later in the season throughout his career. August and September, not his best friend. And, I'm not here to crap on Chris Sale because he's a Cy Young winner, a potential Cy Young winner. Like, he's a guy that I want playoff game 1 regardless. But there is a correlation of what he's doing now and what he's done this time of the year throughout his career.
Yeah, it's not good.
All right, well, that's the show. Jess's reaction to Chris Sale.
Yeah, no, you're right. It is. It has been a problem, and he's never pitched in the playoffs before, so that's another thing.
Does it keep going?
Right. In October, does it keep going downhill, or does it switch back up? I don't know. It's hard to know. He's pitched in the league for 7 years, so we've had a pretty good sample size, obviously, with the playoffs aside. But, I don't like it because, like you said, Cy Young candidate, and it was pretty much guaranteed he was going to get the Cy Young, 3 weeks ago. And now,
who knows?
Doubt's creeping in. He probably still will get it, but it's not as sure of a thing because, as I just saw somebody post, his ERA is 4.57 since August 1st.
Yep.
That's not good. That's a month, and that's a high ERA. As a result, his numbers aren't as good anymore. He gave up 7 runs against Cleveland. He gave up 4 runs against the Yankees, and then 6 runs earned against Cleveland. And now again, 3 tonight against the Yankees on 3 home runs. So it's all against the Yankees and the Indians. But unfortunately, those are better teams and those are playoff teams, and that's who you're going to be playing in the playoffs.
Yeah.
So is it just those 2 teams, or is this going to happen against all playoff teams, or is this just a blip? I don't want to say that it's going to happen because I love the guy and he's been incredible for this city and he's had an insane season. but he hasn't pitched well against good teams, and that's scary.
No, and I believe the correlation. Like it's a huge sample size. It's this time of year he struggles, and my fear is what happens come October, because a lot of people have talked about it, and what I've read is it's not even as much a mental thing because the guy's a psychopath in a good way. It's wear and tear. He pitches so much, he throws so many strikes, and he has so many strikeouts that it's the wear and tear of his fatigue and his stamina, and he's talked about it himself too. He's like, I need to focus on pitching. I need to throw less pitches. I need to be in there longer, but still throw less. Maybe I take less strikeouts and pitch for contact. And I'm like, you can't fix that overnight, and that's the problem. It's not something you fix overnight because he's been getting strikeouts galore still, and now it's at the point where you're not going to skip a start because you need him to win. But even if he does start to pick it up in September, what happens in October? When now you might have to pitch him on short days rest. You might have to do this and that. How you finagle rotations in the playoffs. Then what do you get out of him? He's never pitched in the playoffs as it is. Put the fatigue on top of it and his history this time of year. Don't know what to believe.
Right, because if you're talking a month ago and you're saying, oh, you get him in 3 games, maybe 1 game on short rest in a playoff series, in a 7-game playoff series, a month ago you'd say automatic 3 wins because he's been lights out all season. But now we've seen a little bit, and maybe you're not feeling 100% confident in that, which is concerning. I mean, I don't know. I still obviously would feel good with him because of how good he is, period. But
you have to feel good with him. You have to. You're giving him the game 1 ball regardless of what he does, but it's just
right
because of the talent. But it's just a matter of, okay, but can you please figure it out?
Right, and he goes and pitches game 1 in a 5-game series, right? The first series, he loses it.
Yeah, what if he throws up a stinker?
Right. Then you're completely 100% relying on Pomeranz because you don't want to go down 2-0 in a 5-game series. What if he loses? Well, then, yeah, you still have Porcello and Pfister, but it's like now you have to win all those games no matter what.
And what if you lose the division? We're not going to do it. I don't think it's going to happen, but what if you do lose the division somehow? It's only 3.5 games now. So if you do lose the division and he's pitching a wild card play-in game, then what happens? He pitches a clunker, you're done. You're going home.
You're done. Right. And whoever thought you'd go home on a Chris Sale 1-game playoff start.
I think it's a serious issue.
I hate this.
I hate to put this in your head, but it's a serious issue because...
Oh, I was thinking about it. I just don't like talking about it.
It's a serious thing because it's not just this year. It's not like it's been, he's pitched well, or you could chalk it up to being on a bad team because he's had a really good career being in Chicago, even on the bad teams they've had. Now it turns into, okay, what needs to happen to get him out of his own head in August and September? And maybe it's just August this year, and maybe they figure it out because he's pitching for something in September, and that's why. Because, in his defense, on a bad team in August and September, you might not try as hard. You might not want to pitch as well because your team's in last place, and you're eyeing the offseason, you're eyeing time off or whatever he does during the offseason, So, but this time of year, you're in a pennant race. You're pitching for first place still in a rivalry against the Yankees. Sunday Night Baseball, after a good start in Toronto, and you comes in and throws a clunker. I'm not saying he's David Price by any means because he's not mentally weak, but I don't know what's going on with him, and I don't know what was happening his entire career, but I'm very much concerned about Corsair throughout the rest of the regular season.
Well, yeah, that's the thing, too. It's like, these are the big games. Like we said, we were talking about this game tonight. Difference between 5.5 games and 3.5 games. That's huge. He knew that. He lost the first 2 out of 3. This is the game you need to win. You got your best pitcher on the mound. Yep. You leave town with a 5.5 game lead on September 4th. And you lose. It's a big game. And you didn't pitch well. Again, against the Yankees. Against a potential playoff team. Yep. So that's concerning. It's not like you just went out and played some garbage team, or you're not in a pennant race and you don't care. This was a huge game. This is a game he needed to pitch well. He needed to win, and he didn't.
No.
So it's concerning. Yeah,
because that's the pressure you're going to face. Playoff time, even end of September, if you're still pitching for first place by then, if it's not wrapped up. That Houston series will probably end up pitching in because it's a 3-game series. So, I don't know. I look at it as it's a wait-and-see situation for the rest of September. But if the next couple starts, we're sitting here on Red Sox Beat next week, the week after, talking about Chris Sale still having this problem, then you roll back and look at it as, are you giving him the ball game 1? What's going on? Maybe it is a trend. It's his career thing, and now you're overly concerned about who you can trust come playoff time, because none of these guys in the rotation have really been successful in the postseason as it is, if they even sniffed a playoff game. So,
right, they've either not been good or haven't pitched.
Or never pitched in it. So, it's scary, because now who do you trust, right? I don't 100% trust Chris Sale right now as much as I want to, because of the talent level, and that makes me feel okay with him pitching. I don't trust him right now. I don't trust Erod right now. I don't trust Porcello right now. I trust maybe Drew Pomeranz, and that's it.
Right, and he isn't pitching the playoffs either. So
yeah. So what do you do at that point?
You're right. Well, it's so weird with Sale, because like we saw, he threw a 7-inning, 11 strikeout, no run performance just a few days ago against Toronto, and it's like he might go out, for the next couple of starts and pitch really well against bad teams, because there's a lot of bad teams coming up in the schedule. But then you still have that 4-game sample size of 2 against New York and 2 against Cleveland, where he did poorly in all 4 of those games. Yeah. So it's like, do you think about every start as a whole, or do you just think about against poorer teams, against good teams? And it's, against when you're playing in the playoffs, you're going to be playing against good teams.
Yeah.
So the bad teams don't really matter anymore. It's good to get those wins. It's good to pitch well, but everyone's watching you against good teams. And that's what he's been pitching poorly against. So it's hard to know how to judge it, but that's kind of how you have to at this point.
Exactly. And, you've had situations where, Doug Fister, another good start this week, right? Talked about it a little bit in the recap. I don't know. I don't. We've talked about him almost every week now, but like, you don't know if you can trust him long term, short term. He's been here and there. He's had a decent career, but he's hit or miss, and now you hope he's kind of reliable. You don't know when you're going to get out David Price, if he even comes back. He might just be in a bullpen role when he comes back from that injury. So, as much as you like the rotation, there are a lot of question marks of who you can trust late season. Whether it gets colder, pressure mounts a little bit more, and see what these guys can do once the dog days of the summer are past them, and they're looking at some serious time where they're competing for, TV time with football. They're in October, cold baseball weather. There's a lot going on for this rotation. It might not even all be a good thing, so we'll have to wait and see there. But one thing that is intriguing to me is the way this offense is going to handle the pressure, because as the pitching rotation is starting to get a feel for, now who are we? Who do we want to be in this really hardcore situation where we're fighting for first place? We're doing this, we're doing that. Who do we want to be as an offense? Hanley got dropped in the batting order. He's starting to hit the crap out of the ball again. Maybe you can race him up. But then I want to talk about this. Xander Bogaerts and Mookie Betts. You have guys like Devers hitting well. Nunez has been there since he started. Benny's figured it out again. Benny Biceps was hitting the crap out of the ball.
You just got AL Player of the Month
for rookies. Yep, so that's huge. He was in a slump a little bit, figured it out. Xander Bogaerts and Mookie Betts. Bogaerts has been struggling for a little bit here, but Mookie Betts even. What is going on, Jess, with these two guys? Because if you're going to do anything, if you want any help with the rotation and what they might need help with, getting some run support, those two guys are key cogs to what you can do moving forward. And you have Pedroia back, yes, but both those guys are just as important.
Yeah, call me crazy, but I'm a little more worried about Betts, which might seem stupid, but I'll explain why. Bogaerts, his downfall kind of came after he got hit in the hand by that pitch a couple months ago. That's when he started his downslide. Yeah. So I think his is partly injury. I think
he's definitely not 100%, by the way. I don't think Xander Bogaerts is definitely not 100%.
I don't think he is either. And between the hand injury and he played basically every day for ever. He never got days off for quite a while.
Yeah,
that comes back to haunt you, and it's crazy because everyone's just ready to jump off the bandwagon and just say, "Screw this guy! I don't want him anymore," because his average is down to 270. And it's like, well, I don't think he's healthy, and he's played too much, and he needs more days off. So I'm concerned about him because obviously he hasn't played well, but I think that time off and healing his injuries will make him better. But with Betts, yes, I know he plays all the time as well, and that probably comes back and makes you a little bit tired. But there's no known injury for Betts, besides that knee thing that he didn't even miss a game for when he ran into the wall.
Yeah.
But this went long before that. He wasn't playing well before that. And his numbers are still good this season. He's still got the most RBI in the team. He's got a ton of doubles. I don't doubt any of that. He's played great defense. He's still been valuable, but he hasn't hit a home run in a month. His average is in the 260s. His numbers aren't anywhere close to last year, which I didn't expect them to be. I said at the beginning of the year,
last year was crazy. Yeah, last year was ridiculous.
Yeah. He set a really high standard for himself, which is good. Was good for the team last year, but it's probably not good for him because now everyone expects him to be that good.
Exactly. Yeah.
So with no known injury, and not hitting a home run in a month, he's not really making a huge impact on offense in big moments at all. So I'm a little more concerned about him. Call me crazy, but I don't like that.
No, I don't think you're crazy. I kind of agree with you, because as much as everyone on the show, everyone who listens to the show or knows me knows I love Xander Bogaerts as a player, and I still do. I am convinced he's hurt. I think it's a no-brainer to know he is hurt. So looking at Mookie Betts, I don't know what's going on, and I think he will snap out of it. I think he's too good of a player to not snap out of it, but I don't think there's any injury involved. I just think something's going on where he's a little off right now, and maybe, he can go knock and see what's going on, what Andrew Benintendi did to get out of his slump, because he did something and it worked, and he's been hitting the crap out of the ball lately, and I think you just need Mookie to keep being, Mookie, be a leader in the clubhouse, take control of the base paths, be a good defender, and, eventually his time will come to get out of this. It's kind of how slumps work in this league. It's the great players can lead and do other things while their bat is cold, right? We saw it with Ortiz. When he wasn't hitting well, he was still a leader off the field. We saw it with Manny Ramirez. As much of his defense was a liability when he was in left field, he still did things out there and helped, keep energy there when he wasn't hitting the ball well. And everybody who's ever played who's been good, it's how can you be a leader? How can you take control of other games another way? Look at Pedroia, for instance. Pedroia is not playing every day now, right? He's not going to play every day, at least until the playoffs. His bat it was better as of late. And that being said, every time he's on the field, his defense is going to take care of itself. Regardless of how hurt he is, he's going to play defense. Mookie Betts needs to find that thing that he can do right regardless, which I think right now is his defense and base running until the bat comes back. Because I think he's too good of a player for the bat not to come back.
I think so too, but you look at his numbers. I'm looking at him currently. He has 2 RBI since August 18th. 2 RBI. No home runs, 2 RBI. He's got, his doubles are still there a little bit because he hits a lot of doubles. He's had 4 since that point. Yeah. But that's 2.5, 3 weeks with 2 RBI and no home runs. He just gets, 1 hit here and there, a couple of 0-for games. It's just like he just kind of seems like he's just showing up at the plate, and whatever happens, happens. I don't know if he's not focused because it's a long season and he has so much expectations after last year. I'm not sure what the issue is.
Which is also another concern if that's the case, because if you're not focused this time of year, we have another problem.
Right? What are you waiting for? Right?
Yeah, seriously. We got another problem. You can't focus this part when you're actually a good team. It's one thing if you're the Phillies, if you're the Rockies, you're not a good team. I get it. I mean the Rockies, but it's one thing if you're the Phillies or anything like that. I get it. Not a good team. You want to go home, but you're on the Red Sox. You're playing.
Team ain't going home.
Yeah. If you can't figure it out, then maybe you got to put someone else in there. But I don't think that's the case. Right. I don't think that's it. But because of how well he played last year. But that being said, maybe it was a 1-year thing, which also could scare you too. But
what a weird show. We're talking negatively about the 2 of the best players on the team.
I know,
Chris Sale and Mookie Betts.
Seriously, and it's one of those things
where getting it done.
Look, Chris Sale just had 1,500 strikeouts in his career.
I know, we didn't even mention that.
Fastest pitcher ever to get to 1,500 strikeouts of a career.
Incredible.
And didn't even talk about it because of how bad he's been pitching. It's a concern. And you give him credit for that, obviously, and that's how dominant he's been. But, maybe the trend, and this is me just spitball, and maybe the trend of the fastest person to 1,500 strikeouts is half the reason why his stamina is terrible to get into the late into the season, because he has so many strikeouts and he's doing it so quickly. Every year he can't get consistently into the end of the season.
Oh, you got a great point. The strikeout pitchers don't last as long in games. They don't last as long, really, period, because it takes a lot of effort to get strikeouts. You have to get 3 pitches per at bat, a minimum of 3 pitches. Instead of being like a ground ball pitcher like Porcello, and you can get 3 outs on 3 pitches, ground ball, that's that. Yep. So it's strikeouts are fun to watch. They're fun for fans. It's fun to strike guys out and be a great strikeout pitcher, but you might not last as long in your career. You don't last as long in games. He hasn't pitched a complete game all year. He's pitched deep into games almost every single time.
Can't get through the whole game. Can't get through the whole game, though.
He never gets 9 innings and rarely gets 8 innings. So it's it's great, but it's also not. I almost rather just have some groundouts and, be able to pitch longer.
And that's the compromise he's talked about. It's, do you take some pitches back? Do you try to pitch to contact to let him get to take the pitch count down? And it never will happen. He's a strikeout guy, but
can he even help it? He's just so good at it.
He's just so good. And it's the arm slot. It's everything. And that's a concern. First to 1,500, can you last the season? Mookie Betts, hits the crap out of the ball, has an MVP type season, should have won the MVP last year. Now, can you consistently do it again through the entire season when you are in a good team and you have teammates around you who are hitting well? Devers, can he keep it up? Nunez has question marks. Obviously, he's been phenomenal, but can these guys keep it up?
Bogarts has been super up and down his career.
Yeah, so can these guys keep it up until these guys figure it out? Are they going to figure it out? Can Pedroia play every day? A lot of question marks. And it's a good show for Laura not to be on because she might be hyperventilating if we're talking about this with her on the show. But, there are a lot of question marks around this team still, in my eyes at least, even though they're in first place, and speaks to partially the division, speaks to the AL as a whole, but there are some big question marks still coming into the last month of the regular season. The weather's getting colder, and there's still some questions I need answered before the playoffs start.
Man, baseball, it's crazy. It's just crazy how fast things change. You had a great beginning of August. You won, 15 of the first 19 games in August. Then you go in a 4-game losing streak. Everybody goes nuts. Then you win the next 3 games. You're right back in there, and then you go right back down in the losing streak. It's such a streaky game, and it's just with games every day and stuff. It's just, man, you never know. It's hard to make predictions about this stuff because everything changes so quickly.
Yeah, it's crazy. And one thing that want to get your take on here and make a prediction moving forward outside of the Red Sox world is the Houston Astros, right? Everything that's going on in Houston right now, obviously outside of baseball, outside of sports, there's a lot going on down there. Teams doing their best to kind of take over what they can and kind of prevent a distraction and prevent any more, mental damage. They're trying to have a distraction there. And Astros just traded for Justin Verlander a couple days ago. It was just yesterday even. So, look, Justin Verlander was going to be out of Detroit at some point, right? That cesspool of a town. He's finally out of Detroit. Obviously,
so long.
Obviously huge for him. He had a great career in Detroit. Never won anything, though. I saw someone tweeted on, I forget who it was, say, love the Red Sox, but if we weren't to win the World Series, love to see Houston do it, just because of what is going on down there with the hurricane and everything. But Justin Verlander adding to the Houston Astros, that's a big addition for them. They're acing a hole. Keuchel, he was saying at the deadline, he was mad they weren't doing anything, right? He was pissed that they didn't do anything. And, they probably should have gotten Verlander at the deadline, to be 100% honest. But they didn't. They didn't do it. They just got him. And it makes him, he's been having a pretty good year. He makes them a lot better.
Yeah, he struggled a couple of years ago. People wonder if he was done, and then he came back this year, and he was really good for most of the season. So, yeah, of course it's a good move. It makes him better, no doubt. They already have a great team. They already have the best record in the American League. They have a great offense. Their pitching's pretty solid, too. Not as good as their offense, but it's still good. So, and yeah, I mean, you look at the trends in the history. I don't know if this is coincidence or if it's like fate or what, but when cities get bashed by something, teams win championships. Boston Marathon 2013, Sox won. Hurricane Katrina, New Orleans Saints won. Like it's happened like several times. It's almost creepy.
It makes sense. You play for that situation, and I hate to bring this up, but I saw a meme. There was a relation, not baseball related, I hate to say this here, but Chris Paul, now of the Houston Rockets, there was a meme about every team he played for when he got put there was a disaster. Like when he got drafted by New Orleans, Katrina happened, and then he went to his next team and another disaster happened in that next town. And then he just got to Houston and this hurricane happened. And you feel so bad because it's so funny. But, it is crazy how teams rally around disasters.
And they're already the best team in the American League, and this just happened.
And this just happened. So
are they the team?
Is this the team that deserves to win the World Series? Probably. They're the best team. Obviously, I want the Red Sox to win, but if the Red Sox don't do it, you got to bet. I'm betting for Houston. I'm rooting for Houston.
Is this gonna be an Astros-Dodgers World Series, and the Dodgers are going to be like 20 games better because they're insane, and Houston wins it?
And Houston wins it. Wouldn't surprise me.
Their first World Series ever.
Yeah,
it would be.
It would be. It's all lining up, Jess. It really is. And
I hope it doesn't happen, but that's how things work. That's how destiny works.
The only way I wouldn't want it to happen is if the Red Sox were still in it. But other than that, I would root for Houston. They would be my second team this year because of what's going on. You have to. It's a lovable story. It's something that you want to root for. And I really just don't want to see the Dodgers win. So if it was Houston or LA at that point, I'm rooting for Houston either way. Because the Dodgers are just too good. It's bad.
We're rooting against Dave Roberts and Terry Francona. What's wrong with us?
Yeah, seriously. We really don't believe in the Red Sox. Okay, so before we get out of here for the week, we do have baseball games this week. 3 against Toronto again, 3 against Tampa Bay. I almost wanted to pick all home, mind you, all at Fenway Park. I really wanted to pick sweep the whole week, but I didn't. Start with the 3 games against Toronto at home, Jess. Another 3 games against Toronto Blue Jays. You got to think, right?
Yeah, you get 6 more games against the Blue Jays this year, which is obviously a good thing because the Sox are 10-3 against the Blue Jays this year, which is really good. You know, they've been a thorn in the side for several years, but not this year. They're just not good, and the Sox have their number. So I didn't pick a sweep last time, and they did. And now they're home, and they still suck. So I'm picking a sweep. I'm going to do what I didn't do last week, and now they'll probably not sweep, but I'm saying sweep.
Yeah, I don't blame you. I'm going to go 2 out of 3. It's hard for me to pick a sweep against this team. I don't know why, because they really aren't that good. And, they handed you one of those games with the amount of errors they had in that one inning. But I have them winning 2 out of 3 still against Toronto, which is fine. And then after that, you move into 3 games against Tampa Bay. I don't know why, but I do have them sweeping Tampa Bay. I think if you lose 2 out of 3 against Toronto, you win 2 out of 3 against Toronto, you probably think you should sweep them. And Tampa comes into town. Tampa really isn't a good team, and they had some hope early in the year. I think, honestly, Tampa and Toronto are a lot closer than people think in terms of talent level. But I have them sweeping Tampa Bay, overall going 5-1 for the week, which is phenomenal. If they can go 5-1 this week, you're good.
Yeah, I'm going 5-1 also, which means I have them taking 2 out of 3 from Tampa Bay. If you sweep Toronto, I don't think you're sweeping both. Something always seems to go wrong against Tampa Bay, except for that 2-game sweep they had earlier in the month, or last month now at this point in August. But I think 2 out of 3 is fair. They're 2 games under 500. They're not really a good team either, like you said. But if you sweep Toronto, I don't think you're sweeping both. And I foresee something more wrong happening against Tampa than Toronto. But a 5-1 week would be great. I think that we shouldn't want to expect anything less because they're both bad teams. The Sox are in first. They need to hold on to first. And after losing 3 out of 4 to the Yankees, it's a big. I know every week's big. It's September, but it is a big week because you have 6 home games against teams that are at the bottom of the division,
and you're coming off a crappy series against the Yankees.
Right. So these are games you need to win.
Yeah.
So I think anything less than 5-1. Obviously 4-2 is still a good week, no doubt, but 5-1 would be like really what you need.
Yeah, and they honestly they could go 6-0. Like these are the 2 teams in your division that you should be able to walk in, especially at home, and beat them, right? You got Matt Barnes who can pitch lights out at home. Let him pitch this. Let him pitch this week. He can come play.
You don't have to play the Orioles too, who have had the Sox number, and they're actually like right there for the wild card. And you don't have to play them. That's just nice.
So you're playing the 2 teams in the division that you can beat. So ultimately, we could be talking about a 6-0 this time next week, which would be phenomenal. But there you go. Both Jess and I have them going 5-1, just in opposite directions this week. Tough week, obviously. Tough way to end the week this week. Getting smoked by the Yanks on Sunday Night Baseball. But they have your number this year. Last time you'll face the Yankees. So now you come into September. Weather's getting a little chillier. That much closer to Jess Thomas's wedding. It's very exciting. And don't forget, of course, this show, as we leave, is, of course, brought to you by our good friends at FanDuel. Check out you can win up to $1 billion in that fantastic contest. Week 1 football's here, guys. Put in the code Red Sox Beat. You play for free. Don't forget, check out FanDuel.com/Red Sox Beat if you want to play in our listener league. We'll all challenge you. We all play fantasy football, so we'll get at it with you guys. On Twitter, we're at Red Sox_Beat. Facebook, Red Sox Beat Podcast to keep up with all the news. We'll put the links up there for FanDuel as well. Of course, CLNS Media as a whole is on Twitter at CLNS Media. Facebook, the same thing. Don't forget to subscribe to the YouTube channel for CLNS Media, seeing the fact that we are now on video. As you can see, Jess Thomas flaunting his Red Sox jacket. So subscribe to the YouTube channel. Subscribe to us on iTunes as well. We love the reviews, the subscriptions to iTunes as well. Bring us up to the top as playoff baseball is around the corner. As news happens, we'll let you know. We'll talk about it every week. We'll get roundtables going. So we're bringing you the best coverage we possibly can here at CLNS Media. Until next week, hopefully with the band back together. That is Jess Thomas. This is Jared Scally. This has been Red Sox Beat here on CLNS Media.